Hey everyone, I'm Erin Hardick, lead research analyst at Z Prime. I am here chatting with Raj Lakhiani, founder and CEO of Athena Power. Thank you for joining me today, Raj.
Hey Erin, good to see you. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
good to see your face. I've been on a lot of calls, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of, WebEx calls, but it's always good to reconnect and see a familiar friend's face.
Yeah, I know it just felt like generations ago that I saw, even though it was probably a Distributech in January.
Yeah, just months ago, but it felt like years.
Losing track of the days for sure.
Let's talk about some of the stuff that you've been doing at Athena Power. I know you've had some work going on over the past couple of months up in Detroit, but can you just talk about how the pandemic has affected your project timelines?
Yeah, so when I last saw you, Distributech, the start of Q1 was just so much traction, and all the way till like really the end of February, we were just so busy. Actually, end of February, we were actually at a customer site working on installs, and literally, when we were heading back to DC, things just shut down overnight. And I don't think that's unique to our company. I think everyone just saw things unfold the way they did, but that service center that we were working out of at the customer site ended up having a massive outbreak, and a number of employees actually ended up dying from it. And so, as you're learning about, how COVID is spreading, and it's one thing to watch in the news, but then also, learn about these places that you were just at where people were dying. So for us, things have really slowed down as far as like customer projects. A part of our business model involves hardware. And so, naturally people are being safe right now. And so, work is being prioritized on just like critical things. So it's totally understandable. But for us internally, because, you know, we really started as a virtual company, we've been able to continue our innovation, continue our work, our engineering. Actually, just a few weeks ago, we launched a new product. You'll love this, Aaron. Not to nerd you out, but we released a three-phase current, three-phase voltage, and the voltage sensors that we use are like non-intrusive, so you can install them. Don't need to take an outage, and you can be able to get enough of a voltage reference to see what direction upstream or downstream voltage is going, power flow. Um, we also introduced Ethernet to our product. We just finished up some testing with Pecan Street out in your hood in Austin. We were testing this new neural net that we added to enable anomaly detection for grid intrusion applications. So long story short is we've continued to innovate. We've continued to make progress in Q1 despite the COVID situation, and I think hopefully will result as a stronger company. We started as a very resilient company, and I think Darwin said it best, right? It's not about being the strongest or the smartest, but really the most adaptable and the most resilient. So I think we'll emerge as a stronger company out of this.
That quote perfectly embodies just everything that's happening to utilities and energy companies right now. It's very pertinent. You
Yeah.
mentioned, coming back to DC, you guys are headquartered in DC. Aside from the pandemic, there's also a lot of social tension going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. What is it like, operating your organization in Washington, D.C. while this tension is just building and building?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable, as all of us have been watching on the news. But so thankfully for Athena Power, because we're not a brick and mortar company situated near the White House, we've been mostly isolated from the situation. That said, though, it has been like unbelievably disturbing, to see our city have a military presence the last 2 weeks. It's really been psychologically challenging to see that. But at the same time, it's actually been it's really been quite informative. Look, I think one can acknowledge that, we're seeing a revolution unfold. It's been happening. And one of the things I really appreciate about this country, about America, is just that it's always been a platform for creative destruction. And so I think we're seeing that happen, unfold, in real time. And you're seeing really the younger generation um, voice concerns about the multi dimensions of inequality, and making sure that the government hears them and is addressing their concerns, right? And we know, because we work in the energy space, that climate change is only going to exacerbate inequality, and so we need to just make sure that the younger generation is being heard. And unfortunately, when you're reconstruct, when you're changing society, when you're breaking things down, I mean, it's not always going to be clean, and so it just you have to allow for things to happen. They do.
Absolutely. And one of the ways to kind of break down those existing barriers that perpetuate inequality is by bringing new, diverse perspectives to problems. I mean, you're a minority-owned business in an industry that is traditionally very underrepresented by minority and women. So you're dealing with, kind of bringing this new perspective to the table, but also making sure that your employees are psychologically, emotionally, they feel supported. Can you just talk about like how you are helping your employees right now just, feel mentally, emotionally, psychologically supported during all of this just chaos and turmoil, it feels like?
Yeah. So on the minority part, look, I think for me and like for our company, I think it's great that there's conversation being held about how we can have a more inclusive and diverse setup in corporate America. And I think, research has shown that, the more diversity that you have in a company, in an organization, the more that fosters creativity and ideas, right? The invention of cities is to bring diversity and create ideas in companies. And so we know that that's important. So I think, look, in the energy industry, we've got so many big challenges that we really need to have the greatest ideas, and we need to make sure that we have the right ingredients to foster that kind of outcome of just problem solving and strong ideas. And look, I think in the utility industry, it's great that that hopefully we'll address that. And to your point about it's not even just addressing the inclusion of more people of color, but just women. There's just a dearth of women entrepreneurs and women executives, from my observations. And so I think if we can get more of that representation, I think that would be just such a slam dunk for the industry. As far as the mental state for our company and how we've been helping employees deal with just sort of everything that's been unfolding, I mean, I don't know, I don't know if our employees have been helping me or I've been helping them. But look, we started our company really out of friendships from a previous company, right? So we already had that bond and just kind of an open platform for dialogue. And if something, was bothering us, we just immediately address it. But one thing that was really disheartening to hear specifically was just the other month, or was it the other week? We've lost track of days, of course, as we've talked about. But one of my team members comes from Eastern Asian descent. He's Chinese, and with the whole COVID situation and how Asian Americans have been kind of scrutinized about it, he was really just very concerned about the well-being of himself, his family, and every week we have engineering calls, and we talk about engineering. And I remember one call we had, and the very start was just about, how he was feeling, and it really lasted 45 minutes into the call, which it should. And he was able to just talk about how he was feeling. And I think in the situation that we're in regards to COVID and all the social changes that are occurring, I think people just want to be heard. People want to be listened to, and I think the receiving end needs to just really listen and empathize, right? I think that's really the medicine that we all yearn for. So I think he was feeling a lot better after that, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last conversation we have about that, but we just all really need to listen to each other.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I am also fortunate to work for an organization that creates an environment where you feel safe to talk about some of your personal issues that are weighing on you, that keep you from doing your job to the best of your ability. Like, we're seeing this combination of work life and personal life just start to merge together, and it's so hard to keep those separate. Whereas kind of before, the people, I think, really tried hard to keep your personal and your professional life separate, but now it's just becoming so intertwined that you can't really separate those things out. So it's really important for organizations to continue to support their employees in the personal struggles they're going through right now. So I just want to applaud you for doing that. I think it's very, very important.
Thank you.
Well, Raj, thank you for chatting with me today. I'm really excited to see what Athena Power does over the next few months. It sounds like you have a lot going on internally, a lot of innovation occurring. I bet you guys have some pretty big plans long term.
Yeah, I saw your eyes kind of flicker when I talked about that new voltage capability. So maybe we'll send you one of those sensors.
Sounds good. Thanks, Raj.
All right, Erin. Thank you so much.